Hello, Pete. Thank you for joining me. Let's start with you telling me about yourself.
Oh gosh, where do I begin? Actually, I've got some prepared slides to help prompt this. Okay. Pete Buotte, come to you with 26 years of military service, active in reserve, and now have 9 years on the ground as an art therapist in my one and only site here at the Intrepid Spirit at Fort Hood, Texas, Central Texas. One and only art therapist on site, on base, and really the only one between Waco and Georgetown for the moment. And
Yeah.
when you leave the country, between Dallas and Georgetown, Austin. But I never feel like I'm on an island. I feel strongly connected locally, regionally, and nationally. I think I found my dream job. I didn't realize it until a few years ago. This really combines everything. The inquisitive 5-year-old child making art to military service, combat deployment, and having those two things merge into this current position. Yeah. That's kind of who I am and what I do.
I made it where you could share slides if you would like.
Okay. I think I have a slide ready. Yeah. Oh, there it is. What's interesting is some of the slides I'm going to share with you are going to be part of the presentation that you and I are presenting next week. This is not exactly that slideshow, but it's similar. How did I get here? I started off in Maine. There's a red star, and then everything is where I've been through the military, primarily changes of zip codes over the years. It's not been a straight path, right? Leaping around the world. I mean, whether in France on art scholarship or twice deployed to Iraq, 3 times to Djibouti, South Korea, Haiti, Bosnia, in the States, being assigned to various military posts. So, yeah, I'd like to start with this as a bigger picture and graphic.
Okay.
Helpful?
Yeah, it's interesting. You've been to a lot of different places and to Maine multiple times.
Yeah, and everywhere in between. And also, there's a tour in Haiti as I look at the map. So it's really zigzag. There's never a straight life path here. That follows through in becoming an art therapist as well.
What is your earliest memory of creating?
I cannot recall. I do know I was fascinated by cartoons on TV, like animation, Bugs Bunny, stuff like that. I knew they weren't real people, and I knew an artist or someone had created that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I was like, what is up with that? I want to be curious and creative and make or draw or create something like that. I think just watching cartoons.
Okay.
Here's an interesting memory. In kindergarten, I remember bringing home a drawing. We had to fold a large format paper into 4 folds, open it up, and do 4 different drawings of the use of water. One, I'm washing my hands. Then I'm drawing myself, holding myself, peeing in a toilet. I'm standing in a shower, naked and nude, drying myself. So it was very clear that I was aware of what my 6-year-old body was and how I was washing my hands in the sink. That's kind of innocuous, but peeing, showering, toiletry. I brought that home and my mom was like, oh my gosh. And I've got like a slight mole, a dark spot on the hip or something, small one. And I drew that. It's becoming really self-aware. I think that would be an earlier drawing.
Yeah.
It was in crayon.
Did you grow up around creative people?
Oh, hell no. No one was musical or creative. My mom claimed that she was the president of the high school art club back in the day, but I had never seen one of her artworks ever.
Okay.
We found some pencil sketches from my great-grandmother, German-born, but immigrated to the States right after World War I in the 1920s, and some sketches in like some sketchbook or a paper doll book or something. But other than that, I wasn't aware of that as a young child, just minimal exposure. So everything was self-taught. How to draw, how to play music, guitar is all by ear.
When did you first start making art?
At the age of 5. Yeah. So it's right around that kindergarten, first grade when I was consciously, intentionally making art. Oh, kindergarten. Let me go back. I remember getting in trouble while waiting for the bus to go home. I was given free rein. I used all the chalk and would fill up the teacher's chalkboard with artwork and drawings, which was okay, but I failed to erase it because it was time I had to catch the bus. So I'd always have to come back the next morning and erase or even wash the chalkboard in front of the whole class. So those are two early memories, right? And what were the themes? Like race cars, monsters, vampires, whatever, something that was active,
Yeah.
moving.
Was there a time when something happened, or do you remember your first thought about art being therapeutic or helpful for you?
So this would be when my mom and dad were finally going through a much needed divorce. It was highly dysfunctional. They stayed together for us kids, and I get it, but it took a toll. So my mother, we were at camp out on the lake up in Maine. So she was really going through the process of the divorce and the emotions behind it, the sickness and the dysfunction. I ended up having her create a big heart on a large piece of drawing paper. And she was just talking. I had her write down what she really wanted to keep inside her heart and what she wanted to keep out of her heart. That was the first thing. And it was really quite a reflection. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm helping my mom process this divorce. It was either in process or near completion, in what she wanted to keep in her life and what she wanted out of her life.
How old were you at that point?
At that point, I still had no notion of becoming an art therapist, probably around 30.
Okay.
Yeah. I was a military officer and also in the reserves and an artist, but not a therapist at all.
How did you come to be an art therapist?
The slideshow is already open. Let me go back to that. It was in New York City, and I was invited to show in an art show in New York City with some fellow veterans and art makers.
What kind of art were you making at that point?
I was probably making sculptures at the time. I really like to consider myself primarily as a sculptor, but I also draw and paint. Even though I paint, I'm not a painter. I definitely do draw and sculpt. Okay, is this sharing yet? Okay, good. So I ended up buying some older military medical stretchers that you can see here. I was really processing ambiguous loss and processing grief on a large scale. These are military stretchers that I ended up standing up, as you can see, instead of being horizontal, which is that dormant death position. I'm trying to have the stretcher bars stand up. Furthermore, it may be not so clear or visible, but I had silkscreen all the names of everybody who had passed away from my arrival in Iraq in 2003 to my return after my second tour in 2008. Wow. Right before I was deploying. It was 5 years worth for 2003 to 2008, and silkscreening all their names. And then the notion of, well, they've passed, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and then attaching an IV to the top of the sculpture, as you can see. And then I put in some light diluted bleach and letting them drip. They were open on the opening night so that they gently revealed the names. As you can see, the drips, it wasn't completely saturated. So you're not fully seeing all of the names. You can't control the drip. But I'm symbolically trying to revive them with the IV, keep their memory alive. These are my IV paintings, my IV sculptures.
When you do something like this, do you have a fully developed concept before you start on it, or do you start and it evolves as you're working on it?
I'm really a conceptual artist before. I even see myself as a conceptual artist, as an art therapist. The art directive is the concept, the invitation to make the art. And then you never know what the heck's going to arrive, right? What is the patient going to make? We never know. We just provide the context. This is the same thing here. I had a clear concept, but I had no idea where the hell it was going to fully go. Yeah. What's going to stay concealed? What's going to be revealed?
When did you first start making art about your experiences like this?
Let me go back on the slideshow.
Yeah.
The most significant, really therapeutic artwork is this one. It's called Self-Struggle. It was made for me because I came from a really dysfunctional family background. Dad's a raging alcoholic. He stops, he starts again. There's mental, physical, emotional abuse, especially on mom, from mom, hence the divorce. I was really struggling with what I was making with art. A lot of it was repeating history, okay, pop art stuff or whatever. I was really desperate and broke down. I'm like, I'm really struggling with myself. And I'm like, oh, how do I depict that?
Yeah.
So I got a full length mirror, drilled a hole about chest high, and on the opposite side of the wall, anchored with like a concrete block, and ran a rope through and tied it up. It was initially for me to have a tug of war with myself. Then I realized, hey, I can open this up and put a piece of blank paper next to the sculpture. It's not visible in this picture, but people could write down what they were struggling with
Ah, interesting.
in a very anonymous way. Don't care about spelling, grammar, F-bombs. People writing some crazy shit, like loving a fucking asshole. And that was their struggle.
Yeah.
In the end, I had this interactive sculpture and input from people I didn't even know, anonymous activators of the sculpture.
Yeah.
So that I realized was therapeutic for me and open up space for others.
Did that impact the way that you approached things afterwards, your projects?
So this is back when slides existed for documenting artworks. I was in my master's program for fine arts at the Maine College of Art. It took me 5 years to complete that program. I wanted to do something that would honor fellow artists, but not have an art competition. I had people submit slides and I collected over 300 of them, put them in a fishbowl. And then it would be a live event. And I've done it 4 times. I think my niece is the first one. She was like 5 years old. She was the first one to be present. And she was the one who drew a slide from the fishbowl. Whoever's slide was selected, they had their contact information. I'd call them up and say, hey, even though you weren't present, your slide is the one drawn from the fishbowl and you won the fishbowl grant. And out of my pocket, I gave them some money. I think it went from $500 to $750 to $1,000 out of my pocket.
Wow.
So it was a grant out of my pocket, and people were just sending slides. You didn't even have to be a proper artist. You're just submitting a slide of what you think is an artwork.
Have you thought about doing this now in maybe a different form, not a slide, but some other type of submission?
Right, I'm stuck. It would have to be like a JPEG or a digital image. I'm not sure how it would be randomly selected. Yeah. I mean, unless we print them out like postage size, there's probably other ways to do this. Random selection.
Show us some other things.
Okay, I don't even know what's next. Oh, so this one's huge. The first childhood memory project. Now, my earliest childhood memory is at the age of 2.5, and it was when there's that liminal phase right before you go to sleep or right after you wake up. So this one was pre-sleep, and I'm in the zone where this memory arrives. I am in a house that I grew up at the age of 4. And I'm kind of like walking or floating through this space. And what it is my grandmother is taking care of me. She's babysitting. I remember distinctly my mom was going to university to finish her teaching degree. I remember looking out the window, seeing her leave through the window, her Volkswagen, very clear memory. It's a green Volkswagen leaving. And I'm turning to my grandmother and I'm bawling my eyes out. She's smoking a cigarette. She says, Peter, don't worry. She will come back. It's my first moment at 2.5 where I realized my first earliest childhood memory is separation anxiety and not believing that my mother will come back. I've lost her.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
That was my earliest childhood memory. I drew this out and I wrote it on a piece of paper. And I ended up asking my family to write and draw their earliest childhood memories. My brother and sister each had the same first childhood memory of leaving the house and getting lost together for an hour. So I expanded it to family, friends, cousins, grandparents. Then it became people I met on the street, friends at art school, parents of friends. I collected over 600 of these over 10 years. They were drawn and written in their maternal language. So I've got at least 600 of these written in 32 different languages, primarily English, but some French, Chinese, Somali, Japanese, Hungarian, So this is the installation of the work and process. It's in a tent, but there's someone at the table contributing on the spot in the moment. That's a 10-year work conceptually. It almost became an archive. I had started making an Excel spreadsheet of how I collected them chronologically, the age they reported, the place where they were, the language, all that stuff.
Very
So I
interesting.
come up with generalities. Most people seem to have a earliest childhood memory at 2.5, 3. By exception, someone was thrown out of a moving truck at the age of 10 and had no memory before 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you never know. I always say, what my deeper question was, what is the first item, the first object in the museum of the mind? If we could enter that memory, what is that first thing we would see in the museum of your mind?
Interesting.
So this also tied me in and got me a scholarship overseas. I ended up working with Christian Boltanski. And if you're familiar with him, he's a French artist. He's all about memory and loss of the unknown and really the subversiveness of memory and the slipperiness of memory, because we never fully know if that was a memory. Was it something someone told me? Was it something I saw from a photograph? Some people reported even remember being born. 2 or 3 of these 600 memories were like, I remember being born.
Interesting.
So, yeah, right. So what is this subjective truth? We don't even fully know.
What about a time when art was especially helpful for you? It helped you deal with a situation that you were going through.
Yeah, so I definitely go back to the tug of war one, but let me speed ahead to the time when mom had already gotten a divorce, but then she contracted cancer. Okay, so let me speed ahead. And I came back from Iraq in 04. I didn't know it at the time. I had stage 4 cancer. I took care of her for the last 9 months of her life and trying to process my combat experience as well. So I'm just making art all the time. In the last month of her life, she was hospitalized as she was receiving chemo. She had already had radiation treatment and a surgical removal. Nothing subsided. So the last approach was chemotherapy. As I told you, I was dealing with infusion of those canvases, and here she is being infused with chemo. On a personal note, I'm a regular blood donor since the age of 18. So she was also the first person who was a blood recipient. All the times I had given anonymously to someone, she became the face of those anonymous recipients. So it came back, the blood donorship. Mom, can I organize a blood drive in honor of you? And she said, yes, dear. So that permission launched this. She passed, and this blood drive that I did at 2 university campuses, down in Portland, Maine, at the Maine College of Art, and also at the University of Maine in Augusta. So it was kind of a dip,
Yeah.
2 blood drives at the same time at 2 different universities on the same date in memory of mom. I'm organizing the blood donors, organizing the radio station who's giving free public service announcements. The Red Cross is there. The blood donors are there for free. And the artists set up their easels and are doing portraits of the blood donors.
Ah.
And they have that limited time to complete a portrait of the blood donor and offer it to the blood donor. So the piece is called Drawing Blood.
Wow.
So that was a therapeutic to help me in a very public way process my personal grief and loss.
Recently, how do you notice that making art impacts your mood, your stress level, or mental state?
I know for a fact, whenever I'm subsumed in the work, I hit the flow state. I lose sense of time. Any of these projects have kept me sustained in that healthy state through over the years. I knew the impact of the flow state in my making. And now, as a properly trained therapist, I know I can achieve that quickly. I make time disappear in my sessions, and easily 95% of the patients, when I ask them, did that feel like an hour or a 2-hour group session? No. I know I'm invoking the flow state that I'm familiar with. Since January 6th, I've been making artwork that's become much more political. With mom, I'm using loss as the emotion that drives the art making. With the tug of war, I'm clearly using frustration and confusion as a source. With this current political situation, I'm absolutely using anger as the emotional source for my making. Is
Do
that helpful?
yeah, do you see these as pieces of art activism or more as pieces where you're trying to process what's happening?
Yes, to both.
Yes to both. Okay.
How's that? I seldom like or questions. Usually the answer is and.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, clearly, initially, they're therapeutic for myself. And at the same point in time, there's some activism and politics in it. I like to think of it as an example of what art can do. I make a distinction, right? There's an ontology of being. What can art be? Can it be a style? You think of, okay, Pete Mondrian or Joan Mitchell or abstract expressionism or pop art, right? Those are styles and what art can be.
Yeah.
I like to extend that question because art can be, but more so, what can art do? So that's the activism because there's action involved.
What are you hoping your art would do?
Whew, open the space for others. I think, and I know, and I fully feel that what I offer in my art therapy sessions is also what I'm hoping to offer in the artwork. Two things: emotional resonance and gaining insight.
Has your approach or the mediums that you use changed over time?
Yeah, I'm kind of in multi-track, so I still consider myself a sculptor, but I'm drawing a lot more lately because it's a quicker, faster visual thinking,
Mhm.
which really opens up the door for the larger, more enduring projects. Since drawing is quick and fast and come naturally anyway, that leads to the painting, that activity, that sculpture making, that more intensive, time demanding process. There's always a push and pull between those activities.
Have you faced any creative ruts or challenges when it was really hard for you to create?
Yeah, when the faucet was off, sometimes it's off, sometimes it's drip, and sometimes it's just free flowing. So yeah, yeah, and that's okay. There have been times when no new ideas have arrived, but I still keep making anyway, because then once you get through the clog, if the sink is clogged or the hose is clogged, you keep working it, put some Drano in there, just keep working it, and stuff will flow again.
Walk me through your creative process. What happens when you have a new idea?
Okay, let me see. Do I have an example of that? Oh, you know what? Here's an example. So here I am deployed in Iraq a second time, 2008. Few materials. I probably traveled with watercolors and a sketchbook, really minimal making materials. Yet, I'm thinking sculpturally. What you can see here are sketches I made of fellow combat veterans who survived, were amputees. I'm mashing up notions of Roman and Greek sculptures that over time have lost limbs or been broken or destroyed, eroded over time.
Mhm.
We don't see that process of erosion. We see the end result thousands of years later with fellow veterans who have lost limbs or burn survivors, the ones with visible wounds. Now, I don't want to discount invisible wounds as well, but the visible wounds, as you can see here, I've drawn fellow combat veterans who are missing arms, legs, who are each other's support. This is a concept for my ongoing sculpture project, which is years in now. I'm nearly completed phase one. There's 3 more phases to go.
Wow. Okay. So,
Yeah, which is huge work. I started this in 2008. The result is the first phase are, if I can show the image. Okay, there's some digital scanning. It involves digital work now. There we go. So there's the veterans who are being digitally photographed and scanned so that they become sculptures.
ah,
It's a 4-phase project. Army works in phases. This art project is demanding. I initially had 3 phases. So the first one is invisible wounds. Fellow combat veterans with TBI, PTSD, not so visible. So I had them take a gesture to best express their mental, emotional state. And they got to choose, again, that openness, they get to choose their own gesture.
Yeah.
I never know what I'm going to get. So we capture it, and then it's digitally printed. I have all the files. So this is phase 1, right? I'm dealing with the invisible wounds.
Yeah.
And there's some more pictures. This guy, really deep, complex grief and loss. He had 13 names tattooed on his ribs of battle buddies he lost. So he's permanently carrying that weight. Yeah. And I like the glitch, as you notice on the inside of the sculpture. We see the expression, but then the computer is glitched on the inside because it doesn't know how to produce that internal gesture. So I love that because that becomes the metaphor and the really physical, concrete example of TBI, PTS.
Yeah.
And you know, as a fellow art therapist who offers mask making.
That is what this made me think of, the mask.
Yeah. So here I am, pre-therapist, and I'm already exploring, the external, internal of the mask. So that's phase 1. I'll quickly sum up phase 2 and phase 3. Phase 2 will be burn survivors. So those with physical, visual wounds, I want to scan them, torso and up. Third phase is those who are amputees. I think that was in the previous sketch, right?
Yeah.
So that's full-on body scans, taking whatever gesture or pose they wish. Now, I was going to stop at 3. As fate and intuition would have it, I'm like, well, gosh, what about the people who also suffered with us when we went to Iraq? What about the Iraqis? Did they not suffer from TBI, PTS, burns, amputation?
We don't think about that often.
So there's the 4th phase. I'm in contact with an Iraqi sculptor. He's a professor at NYU, Iraqi born, great guy. He agreed that at some point in the future, he and I will go to Baghdad, try to find a veterans home or a house or hospital, whatever they have, where they treat veterans, so that during that short time, we can scan them and bring the files back and produce sculptures of Iraqis as well.
Yeah. Wow.
Then we've got both Americans and Iraqis. What's the final message?
War hurts everybody.
Combat trauma doesn't discriminate. So that's the 4th phase.
Do you create artwork that you do not share with other people?
Yes. I'm going to go back to the screen. This is my portfolio. I'm Pete, and I bring creativity to the table. This is all my response artwork that I've done over the years in my office that doesn't leave the space, right? My feelings wheels, my thought inventory, stuff I want to keep in and keep out.
Yeah.
My moral compass.
Yeah.
What's acceptable, not acceptable, what was acceptable then and not now. What else am I processing? Oh, that I can continue my care and my compassion and my curiosity without having to always correct.
Yeah.
Or correct the patient or correct them. Let them arrive at their own correction. Me as a therapist, not feeling, although I have a heart of gold, sometimes it doesn't always work out. The patient's not ready, and it's okay. I don't feel I'm good enough.
Yeah.
So this is all my, this is all my response art.
How has connecting with others through your art impacted your mental health?
Just sharing, right? I mean, I've got a 3-year-old and a 7-year-old. They make artwork, and what's the first thing they want to do? Papa, look at this. They want validation. They want to share it. And in fact, I know that when I'm willing to show my artwork in public, it's okay. I'm comfortable with it. I'm not alone. My approach to art is not someone else's magic. Your magic, Rachel, your art is not mine. We speak different visual vocabularies, use different materials coming from experiences, concepts, wherever it is. So that sharing is the connection.
What would you say to somebody who is afraid of sharing their art with others?
I think it's okay. Maybe some art isn't meant to be shared ever or at all. However, it's also a process. At some point in time, you may be ready, right? I mean, these people who left their artworks here did it not to share with their spouse, maybe because it was too difficult, but they left it behind to share their legacy with fellow service members. No names, right? Anonymous. Here we go again, right? Here's my struggle writing it up. I just made that connection. I never knew that before. Yeah. Here's someone with their struggle, and they leave it behind for others to see anonymously.
What would you say to somebody who's curious about using art for their mental health, but they're unsure where to start?
Go see Rachel. But you got to go to Spain. I mean, few people that of the 800, 900 I've worked with really identify as an artist. First of all, maybe a handful, 5, and they've got the skills and the talent. All the others are non-artists. So I always say, I go back to my inner 5-year-old child saying, there's an inner creative child that we're going to tap into, right?
Yeah. So
it doesn't matter about skill level. Bring your best stick figure. In fact, it happened this morning. My best stick figure. Heck yeah.
So we don't have to think of ourselves as an artist or have any particular skills in order to use art for our mental health.
Absolutely. I always say it's never about ART. It's about TRY.
I like that. What kind of misconceptions have you encountered about art and mental health?
I would say the biggest takeaway from the folks I've worked with, given the feedback, is how surprised they were that they got so much out of art therapy, as well as music therapy. The nonverbal or less verbal therapies can really tap deep and rich into that pre-verbal, nonverbal. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Art can do that. Can I give you an example?
Yeah.
It's still wet. Hold on. So we were talking about notions of what this service member could and could not control. He's planning to leave the service soon. He doesn't know what his civilian life will look like, what job he will have, right? So there's fear of the unknown, some anxiety, very typical, normal. So we explored what we can and cannot control. So I had him he chose a green construction sheet of paper. He chose a tube of black and red paint. Then he squoze it on the paper and he folded the paper in half, then unfolded it. Right?
It's pretty. You know it a little bit. Makes me think of a brain.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a brain or trees reflecting in a lake. Right. And we don't even know what we get out of the artwork. So it's highly unplanned. Even though we're in control of the entire process, the result is unplanned. So the takeaway he stated was, I have to be able to understand, control my controllables, and accept what I cannot.
Yeah. That's a huge thing for lots of people.
So acceptance. He ended up doing 2 of them. Same paper, same colors, and he folded it a different way. Totally different result.
Very different.
Highly different. So we talked about different approach is going to have a different result.
Yes. It's true in life and in art. If you have the same situation, the same ingredients, but take a different approach, you're going to have a different result.
So it's purely concretely exemplified in that art making. Did he have to be an artist? No. Did he have to plan the image in advance? No. I gently guided him, but he ultimately made all the choices, color choices, all that stuff. That's how I think it can be convincing for someone who's doesn't feel creative, not an artist, get over the speed bump. I think we're channelers. We're able to help others access that creativity.
Looking back, what role has art played in your personal growth?
I think it's such a strong part of my identity since age of 5. I mean, the artwork I leave behind is my mark, separate from my family and children. When I've got no more breath, I want that artwork to symbolize what I've shared with you, that curiosity, that creativity, a new approach to really process and examine deep, rich, emotional stuff.
Looking ahead, what roles do
Mhm.
you hope that art will play in your life in the next 5 to 10 years?
I love that question. Future prefrontal cortex. All right. I've had my chapter as a military officer. In 2 to 3 years, I'll complete my second chapter as an art therapist. My final chapter is going to be pure art. It's all for me. How does
And
that sound?
that's
Selfless service in uniform, service to others in therapy sessions. It's just for me now. How's that sound?
it's also not just for you because you're saying how impactful art can be, even just people viewing art can be impactful, right? So, is there any projects, like things that you're like, when I get to that point, this is what I'm going to work on?
Yes, I need to complete the sculpture project, The Spirit of Survival, with fellow veterans. I need stuff to keep my attention and keep focused. That project is so detailed, it's going to force me to see it through because I'll lose attention and become quickly bored. But with something like that, that's so detail intensive, I need to stay focused and travel probably across country and scan veterans along the way, have a trajectory, map it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And contact everybody. I've got new contacts, people who are burn survivors and amputee survivors, but my current work doesn't allow me to do that. The greatest thing we can have is time.
Yeah.
So this third chapter, it's my time, and
Yeah.
I need to pursue what I need to make before I leave this space. I've been selfless, I think, pretty much.
Tell me something that you wish you had known like 15 or 20 years ago.
What would I tell myself? I would tell myself, you're going to become an art therapist, you'll do okay. Because I never knew. What the hell was I going to do after the military? I didn't know. I didn't even know I was going to join the military and have a career.
I don't think we actually got to this. How did you find out about art therapy and go into it?
A woman came up to me. Her name is Debbie Farber. And she said, this is really good artwork and it's very therapeutic. She said, I think you should become an art therapist. You should apply to my program and you'd be accepted in the art therapy program. I'm like, really? She goes, yeah, I'm Debbie. I'm in charge of the art therapy department here at the School of Visual Arts in New York City. And what you're doing is really art is therapeutic and you should become an art therapist. I'm like, oh, well, I'm getting ready to deploy. I actually applied, got accepted, and couldn't even start the first year of the program because I deployed.
So actually, I don't think you know this, but I got accepted to the art therapy program and had to defer for a year because the Army took so long on my discharge that I couldn't start right away.
On the active side?
Yeah.
Yeah, just the reverse. You're trying to get out and I'm being pulled back in.
Yeah.
Did you complete your degree in 2 years?
I did. I did. My
Lucky.
bachelor's, a lot of people, a lot of people think that school is such a linear process. Like you go, bachelor's degree, you go for 4 years and you're done and you move on to your next thing. It took me 10 years, but I did it.
Yeah, you did it. You stuck to it. Same thing. I did a 2-year program in 5 years. Deploy, finish the first year. Deploy again, come back, finish the thesis, presentation, defense, and deploy back.
Wow.
That's always been my life. Make art, deploy. Make art, deploy. Go to Iraq, make art. Yeah.
My grad school experience was impacted by I had just gotten out of the military and I went straight into grad school. And a lot of that was me processing that separation. And I got out on a medical discharge, it was still me processing like having a disability for the rest of my life and how my life has changed now from what I thought it would be. So I imagine for you going back and forth to deployments in the middle of grad school, you probably get so much in your mind when you're learning these concepts about therapeutic art and
Right. It was super huge when I was completing my master's in fine arts. And then the last semester I deployed to Baghdad. That was 0304. Totally changed my thesis, totally changed my making. And then the question switched from what can art be to what can art do.
yeah.
And my thesis was that fishbowl and the blood drive.
Huh.
It was not just making stuff.
Yeah.
Huge, huge shift.
Love that.
I love that.
What is an artist, topic, or theme that's inspiring you right now?
Well, I go back to the emotion of anger and frustration with the political situation. I absolutely am not a painter, but I'm painting anyway. I've come up with 5 or 6 large format canvases since January 6th. I mean, after 9/11, January 6th for me was the worst day in the United States ever. And so I've been doing large format paintings, about 6 by 9 foot, tack them up on the wall. There's no framing, no stretcher bars, just raw canvas. Go to the Home Depot and find a drop cloth. I'm painting on drop cloth,
I didn't know they were on drop cloth.
which we think is valueless, right? Low grade, you don't get at the art store. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
But
And
some of my favorite artists have famous works of art that were painted on a piece of cardboard.
Toulouse-Lautrec, painted on cardboard all the time. Yeah, exactly. Love it. So, will it last for posterity and history and all that stuff? I don't know. But for me, right now, portability, mobility, i.e. digital nomad, is so much more important than having it framed. Who wants to carry around a huge stretcher frame and trying to fit it through doors? And how do I hang this? No. For me, if it's furled up, I can carry 5 rolled up canvases underneath my arm, unroll them, boom, put them on display, tack them up, 3 tacks each, roll them back up, go.
Yeah. So
Hit and
you're
run.
talking about portability, right? I'm traveling a lot lately and I am moving to Spain. And so my art practice has changed a little bit, right? Like I am now more like based in like what can I do with very little supplies that are easy for me to take with me. One of the hardest things for me right now is deciding which art supplies will come with me when I move. And I'm going to Spain, there's plenty of art supplies there, but also like I've already spent money on them, I already have them. And some of them will come, but I have to decide how much.
Let's go there. What are you most attached to? What material? What do you mostly use? Right? Oh,
Yeah.
curious.
Yeah. So right now I'm thinking a lot of permanent ink, pens, markers, that type of thing will be coming with me. All my watercolor supplies are coming with me.
Yep.
And probably several handmade books that I've made that are going to be journals in the future. But that's definitely something I have to take some time in the future and set aside a day or two to go through and pack the box that will come.
Yeah, the transitions are so hard, right? I mean, we PCS, going TDY so much, and these are huge life moves. And you're scaling down, right?
Yeah, I'm going with suitcases and some boxes, right? Like not a lot. It has to be one trip. I'm going, and what I take with me that trip is there. And the homes are smaller. So it's like even if I wanted to take everything, it wouldn't all fit.
Well, I'm with you too, because we're thinking of moving to Morocco. Kind of touched upon this as well. I may send the wife and the kids for 2 months to Morocco just to get a feel of the land and all that stuff. So what would I take as well? I know that's a future question for me. What would I pare down?
If you end up over there, I'm definitely coming to visit. Because
Oh, yeah, totally. It's only a quick flight between Morocco and Spain. Cheap flights, Ryanair, $100.
yeah.
Yep.
Pete,
Yes.
where can people find online if they want to follow you or learn more or see your art?
Where is my stuff? Do I have it in my slideshow? I might have it posted somewhere. Facebook. It's called Spirit of Survival.
Spirit of Survival.
Yep. And now I'm in competition with someone else. They have a cancer race up in Oklahoma.
Mhm.
and I have the sculpture project. We both have the same name. So you'll probably, between the two, it's clear which one is the sculpture project and which is the annual cancer race. I need to have more media presence. I'm not too good with that.
Do you have a website?
No longer. It's been a while. I need to revamp.
Yeah.
I need help.
Okay. So, one last question. This is a question I always ask my clients at the end of our session.
Oh my.
What is one self-care activity that you plan to do in the next week that's for fun, enjoyment, or your own well-being?
I got 2 words for you.
Okay.
Make art.
Okay.
I do a lot more. On my wall, I have my daily self-care. I stretch every day. I do my morning walk. I do silence and stillness. I've drastically reduced my carbs and sugar. There it is. Art making, daily art making.
So you do daily art making.
As much as I can. Usually when everybody's asleep, I've got that time from about 8 o'clock to midnight. It used to be weekends only. Now it's all week too.
What about for people who don't have time like that and they maybe only have 5 to 10 minutes? What would you suggest for them?
Oh yeah, sketchbooks. Your me time and space. A journal or a book or a sketchbook is a great container, and it's just 1 page. And maybe you fill the whole page. It takes many visits to fill up a whole page or a sketch or whatever it is.
Yeah, I like that idea. You're just doing a little bit on the page and you're coming back and it evolves over the course of the week or 2 weeks.
The current drawing I'm working on has been 3 to 4 weeks in process. I may have it on my phone. I don't know. Let me see. And I might be able to, how can I screen share it? Yeah, here it is. Wow. Maybe hard to see, but
Yeah.
I am borrowing from Bosch. I'm borrowing from Rodin's Gates of Hell. I am borrowing from Maurizio Cattelan, if you know him. He's the Italian artist. I am borrowing from, let's see, who else am I borrowing from? Ice Patrol, Ice Raids. I am borrowing from Banksy, all kinds of artists, and combining it to making this is an ink drawing right now. The centerpiece, of course, is this Bosch-inspired Eggman. Yeah, who has a certain individual.
Yeah.
The back end of the egg, right,
Oh, yes.
has a certain profile, which is probably penetrating the egg. I'll just keep it at that. But what's great about painting, like I said, I'm not a painter, but it's this open field for all kinds of ideas to convalesce. And I'm really good at ideas. So things arrive all the time. And the canvas is a wide open space for me to thematically bring all these ideas into one.
Yeah. I like that. I've always thought that's how I approach research papers or when I'm writing an article or a book chapter, is that I'm taking all of these ideas and bringing them together into one. And I like the idea of saying that is what's happening in an artwork. You're bringing all of these ideas from different places and making them mix together.
Yeah. So this notion of collage, right? A paper is like a word collage, but mine is clearly, it starts off as a visual collage. It's a digital collage. And then sometimes it's manual. Digital collage made into a painting. It's great. Disparate ideas all combining into one.
Is there anything else you want to add that you feel is important for people to know?
Keep making. I mean, I'd love to say that I'm an obsessive maker. If I had more time, I'd be even more obsessive. But the more you make, the more I force myself to go through things and process things. And it gets me to deeper layers and deeper levels, notions of the layer of the onions. Will I ever get to the core? I don't know, and I don't care. But it's really that process. I trust my process and my intuition. Not everybody's tapped into intuition, and I know that. The more I go into my process, the deeper, the richer, the more expressive, the better the vocabulary and the process and the making becomes.
Well,
Same thing with becoming an art therapist too.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Pete. I really enjoyed chatting with you.
You're very welcome. Hopefully I answered some questions coherently.
I think so. Hey, if you enjoyed watching the podcast, follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram at Wild Free Art and TikTok at MimsRachel1. The display name is Wild Free Art. And you can join my newsletter in the description below. There's a link, and this will keep you up to date on all the new podcast episodes and any offerings or free things that I have available for you. Thank you.